You are listening to the Therefore I Geek podcast, episode 74. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Therefore I Geek. I'm Andrew.
I'm wearing sunglasses at night.
And I'm Tracy. And this week we are talking about San Diego Comic-Con trailers. We're talking about Brie Larson's casting as Carol Danvers. And we are also going to talk about Star Trek and Star Trek. Star Trek Discovery, the teaser trailer, with a very interesting looking piece of art, i.e. the ship. And then we're also going to talk about the big new Star Trek movie that opened this weekend. So, yeah, let's take it away.
Star Trek Beyond.
Star Trek Beyond.
When we get to that, I got to figure out what that title actually meant. Like, beyond what?
Right.
Obviously into the arachnid quarantine zone.
Whatever that was. So this is Comic-Con weekend down here in San Diego, or where I am in San Diego. You guys are on the East Coast.
Right.
I didn't get tickets for it, so I didn't go in. But we did take a trip downtown Friday and Saturday just to see the area, because the gas lamp basically gets taken over by Comic-Con. And I don't consider it part of the convention. I just see it as an attachment to it. And my friend and I had an argument about it. He's like, no, we're going to Comic-Con. I was like, no, we're not going to Comic-Con. We don't have badges. We're not getting into the convention center. We're not at Comic-Con. We're just in a really nerdy version of the gas lamp district. That's really it.
So has this friend ever actually been to a convention before?
Oh, yeah. Like this thing, he's been going since he was a toddler, right? He's been going
Then
longer than you and I.
Then he should understand how this works.
Yeah, he's slow. But that was that. So the trailers. We've got a bunch of them to talk about. This is great. Wonder Woman, Doctor Strange, Justice League, and Star Trek Discovery. I guess King Arthur doesn't really count. It just happened to come out over the weekend.
But real quick, I think what's funny about this is we were talking a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, about how a bunch of studios were starting to avoid Hall H.
Right.
And then we get a whole bunch of trailers, and not bad this year. I think compared to last year, this is a better year for this kind of stuff.
But
yeah, I think they were prepared.
It was also Fox that was avoiding it, right? And I don't think they dropped anything.
I don't think Fox has anything to drop this right now.
That's also very true. Yep.
The only thing they were gonna show off was Assassin's Creed. I think that was really about it. This convention apparently has been all Star Trek all the time. That's been the big thing.
That makes sense. So wait, I have one question for you. Wandering around the gas lamp district. Are you able to get into, if you don't buy a ticket to San Diego Comic-Con, but you happen to be in the city at that time, are you able to go to the cool other parties without the tickets, like the Nerd HQ and all those other cool stuff?
Yes, but you have to get a wristband to get into, you have to pay separately to get into Nerd HQ, and
okay.
we tried, and I wasn't familiar with it, but the guy I was with was, and that line wrapped around the block, and I was like, no thanks. Don't care enough. Yeah. You're able to get into the hotels and the game rooms and stuff like that. So we went to the Nintendo Lounge, went to the board game lounge for a little bit. That was really about the extent of what we did. We saw the South Park outside display. That was really just a bunch of photo opportunities. It really wasn't interactive. And I mean, I just wasn't that engaged with it. The only big thing that we really did while down there Friday and Saturday is we saw these two productions. One was called The Phantom of the Empire, Return of the Opera, and the other one was called Les Mis. And you may have heard this on NPR, or it might have just been the local San Diego NPR did a thing on it. What those both were was they took the music of The Phantom of the Opera and just jammed the story of Star Wars into it. So it's Star Wars with the music of The Phantom of the Opera, done very tongue-in-cheek. And then the other one was called Les Mis, and it was The Hobbit done to the music of Les Miserables.
That's awesome, because I love Phantom of the Opera, and of course I love Star Wars. So having that as a mashup, that sounds really fun.
It was fun. The first one last year the first one they tried was Les Mis. And you can see that this was like a concept piece, that they were just trying it. It was a little slapstick, a little silly, a little rough around the edges, whereas Phantom of the Empire was a little more fine-tuned. It felt like, okay, they've figured this out a few times. They figured out what works. They've got the beats and the timing done a little bit better. So I'd say the Phantom of the Empire was a little more cleaner, even though Les Mis is like my favorite musical ever, and I love the music to it. But I
Yeah.
would have to say Phantom of the Empire was a better done production. And I mean, it's not like these were big productions anyway. This was at this place called the Jeffrey Off-Broadway Theater. Super minimalist set with, like, you know, R2-D2 was a girl in a skirt with like a flashlight on her head and rolling around on a scooter going boop boop beep boop boop, like doing that for like the first scene, and then C-3PO is like, stop it, you can speak English, and she starts to talk. So it was pretty good, but that was really the extent of our con experience, because I just didn't bother getting tickets this year because they vanish immediately. And this year I didn't try to sneak in because apparently they have bad scanners. Whereas last year I faked it.
Badge scanners. I heard something about bad skinners, and I was very confused.
I don't even want to know what that means.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So anyway, trailers.
Right.
So I have a confession, though. So I was able to see Wonder Woman, and I was able to see what's the other one?
Justice
The other DC Justice League. Thank you. But I was really drunk at the time, and I mostly remember Wonder Woman, and I know I laughed at Aquaman.
I kind of want to hear hear Tracy describe them now. Like,
yeah, right.
Trailer through the eyes of a drunk.
Well, everything goes really fast, and you guys know I have ADD. So the more that I drink, the more background stuff sort of pops out at me, and I have a hard time concentrating on. So if I'm in a bar and I've had 2 or 3 drinks, then I can hear the music really loud. And in fact, when I first started drinking, as I was an adult when I first started drinking, and so we would go to a club, and I would always look at my friends about an hour or 2 in and say, they turn the music up. Why do they always do this? And they would go, they didn't turn the music up, Tracy. It's just, I don't know what's wrong with you. Well, then I figured out.
Go home.
Yeah, basically. So watching basically everything in Justice League just sort of flew by me. It was a lot going on.
Justice
Aquaman
League is also a short trailer.
It was a short trailer. Aquaman looked he looked weird. I wasn't impressed, and I love Jason Momoa. He's like my future husband. So, and then I remember The Flash. I was very upset in sort of a weird way about the fact that they just didn't get the Barry Allen from the show. So that made me, I was really upset about that. I talked about that for probably 10 minutes afterward. I was really upset. That's all I remember. And then Wonder Woman is hot. Let's just.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. I mean, I like the Justice League trailer just basically looks like Bruce Wayne has walked his way into Moby Dick, and then Jason Momoa shows up. It's like, what are you doing? And like, now we're going to be in a forest and it's King Arthur, and it's, you know, Wonder Woman shows up. It's just strange. And it's like, we're going to watch Jason Momoa drink scotch and get hit by a wave. I mean, it's funny how they made Flash and the other guy is, I think, called Cyborg, if I remember right.
Yes.
I don't want to make Cyborg. They look 14 each.
Oh my God, I know. Yes, children.
Yeah, and then, you know, Bruce Wayne's like, I'm building a team. And I'm like, what? This sounds like he's ripping something off here. Just the way they delivered the line, it was like, I'm building a team of people with special skills or something like that. It's like, is he basically building a team of Liam Neesons?
Nice.
The A-Team.
Yeah.
DC style.
Yeah, I mean, Justice League to me felt like all right, guys, here is literally everything we have shot that's worth showing to human beings. And we're gonna call it a trailer.
1 minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's either that or it's everything we cut out of Batman versus Superman. We just made another film.
That's also possible. I'm looking forward to the Wonder Woman. That was a pretty badass trailer.
It really was.
I'm curious as to what they're going to make Wonder Woman do in this one. Because, like, it's Wonder Woman. She's about as powerful as Superman because she, like, straight up fought Darkseid or Doomsday. And now it's like she's going to fight Germans in World War I?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm all for period setting. However, knowing that the first Captain America set in World War II didn't do as well,
yeah,
I'm a little hesitant on this one.
So is that going to be the whole movie, or is that just one of the focuses?
I mean, it looks like the whole movie.
It looks like the whole movie. I mean, other than that weird female character with the mask and the crack in it, I have no idea who that is. I couldn't tell you if I wanted to who that was.
Madame Mask, maybe.
I'm gonna have to defer you on that one. I really don't.
Maybe I can't remember if that's a Marvel character or not.
Yeah, I was just like, Wonder Woman could win World War I by herself. That's Dr. Manhattan in Vietnam right there. So I'm not really sure. I'm sure something will come up later on. I mean, Chris Pine is in it.
That was so odd to me too, because Chris Pine, I don't know. Chris Pine's not my favorite actor. He just always looks like himself, and he acts like himself, and I don't know.
I look like myself most of the time too, but the other 30% of the time I'm totally different.
Well, I mean, okay. So I was thinking of I don't know, pick somebody.
George Burns.
George Burns, yes, sure, George Burns. No, I was thinking more like, I'm gonna draw a blank. He used to play gangster. Morgan Freeman, okay, Morgan Freeman. He looks different sometimes. Bruce Willis. You can see him in different things, and he doesn't always look exactly like himself. I don't know.
That's because
you're just making stuff up right now.
He had hair, and now he doesn't have hair.
Bruce Willis looks like Bruce Willis. That's why you cast Bruce Willis. What are you talking about? Unless you put makeup on, you look like you.
Okay. I guess I should include like the whole acting ability. Like if you can act and make me convinced that you are a different character this time than you were the last time I saw you in a movie, it was a whole different person, then I think you're a decent actor. Chris Pine always looks like and acts exactly like Chris Pine.
In the last 3 movies he has been the same character, so you know.
I mean, no, I'll give you that much. I mean, I'll say this: Wonder Woman, it looks good. It looks pretty sleek. And the Amazons look pretty good, and Gal Gadot looks fantastic. She's just gorgeous. But setting it in World War I and making the Germans the bad guys again, it was like okay, fine, more German. But now it's like World War I bad guys. We're not even doing Nazi Germans. We're doing World War I bad Germans.
Does anyone remember that they were called the Huns? No one.
No? That was the nickname in World War II.
That was the pejorative for Germans was the Huns. The Huns weren't actually German. They're from the steppe.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Did either of you guys see Doctor Strange? I didn't realize another trailer had dropped, so I did not see that before the podcast.
Yeah, so the Doctor Strange trailer, the new one just came out, and that one I have as over the weekend also on the 23rd. I love how these trailers always start with the slow piano music now. Almost all of them are doing it. And now this is no exception.
As opposed to the angry bus fart.
Yeah, we've gotten rid of angry bus fart and we've moved into slow piano.
That is the angry bus fart.
That's it.
Oh, that's what they call that?
Well, that's what I call it.
It's the angry bus fart. I have an app on my phone that does it. Angry bus fart all day. I also have the app on the same app does the goddamn Wilhelm scream, and it just pisses my friends off so much.
Nice.
All day.
That's horrible. I'm glad that you don't live on this coast. For that reason alone.
Yeah. Let's get back to it. I mean, this looks pretty cool. Doctor Strange is not a character I'm overly familiar with. The movie does look pretty slick, kind of like Inception on roids. And Benedict Cumberbatch looks like he's pulling it off, although he still sounds like Hugh Laurie's House to me. He's just like, Benedict Cumberbatch is like, all right, which accent am I going to use? I'm going to do House. And that's what I'm sticking with. And then it's the bad guy, at least with the eyes. I've seen him before. Who is that dude? He's a bad guy in all things. He's like always a bad guy.
You're talking the black guy?
No, not the black guy. The dude with the... It's Hannibal. It's the dude who played Hannibal.
Oh, okay. I can't remember the name, but I know you're talking about.
Anthony...
something.
Anthony Hopkins.
No, not that.
Not that Hannibal.
The new Hannibal. Not that Hannibal. He's Anthony Hopkins.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, him.
He also was the bad guy in Casino Royale, the Bond movie.
Right, he's La Chiffre in Casino Royale. Perfect. Yeah, this looks kind of cool. I mean, I'd be into it just to see how trippy it gets.
It does. You are absolutely right with the Inception thing. When I was talking to a couple of my friends this weekend about what was coming up and what we were excited to see, and one of my friends and I both were talking about how very much Doctor Strange looks a little bit like Inception. How very much a little bit it looks like Inception. Yes.
How very exactly much so little. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it'll be cool. Yeah. I'm not a huge Benedict Cumberbatch.
I know, right? Andrew's shaking his head, as he so often does with me. There's other big news out of San Diego as well. We have our Ms. Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Captain Marvel. Yes.
Explain the difference between Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel real quick.
Okay, so originally Captain Marvel was a male character, was a Kree alien named Mar-Vell, because we're not creative in comics at times, especially the 70s. Characters died and come back a few times, is currently gone. But Carol Danvers, who is Miss Marvel, got her powers from Captain Marvel. And 3 years ago, right about this time of Marvel Now, adopted the moniker of Captain Marvel instead of Miss Marvel. So that's kind of where we're at. So, yeah, so Brie Larson has been announced as Captain Marvel, which I think that should be interesting.
Very good actress. If you haven't gotten a chance to see her in the very small but Oscar-winning Room, I would suggest seeing it. It's definitely worth your time. And for those of us who might not have seen that movie, she was also
Envy
Scott
in Scott
Pilgrim's ex. In Scott Pilgrim versus the World. She does this.
Okay, that's how I knew. I was like, I know that.
She does the song by Metric from Scott Pilgrim, and
she looks cute in the photo that she posted on Twitter with the hat and stuff. She's cute.
Yeah, I mean, she's not cute in Room, but she also plays someone who's been trapped in a shed for 7 years. But I was going to pull up the same people who wrote it are going to try and write it. Oh, crap. Me not being able to pronounce names again. Lavav, and Nicole Perlman are the Inside Out scribes, and they're going to start writing it. And right now, we don't have a director. So this is early announcements. It is set to hit theaters, at least according to Variety, March 8th, 2019.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
I didn't realize it was that far out until I looked it up earlier today, and I was a little disappointed. I was kind of hoping for her to have some kind of little something in Guardians 2. Mm-hmm. But I guess not.
Well, I don't know. They might shoehorn it in if she's already been cast.
Yeah, if they got the costume ready, just throw her in there. Why the hell not?
Quick cameo. I mean, Guardians does do the cameos pretty well, so. Yeah. So then, we also had the teaser trailer for Star Trek Discovery, which is the new CBS show.
Super teaser trailer.
Well, no.
Oh, so short.
I mean, we say that, but this is actually teaser number 2, because the first one was literally just the Star Trek logo, and I think the statement of coming soon.
Coming soon, 2017.
And I was like, you fucks.
Right.
I sat through a minute and a half of dissolve for the logo, and that first teaser, and I was so pissed.
So we got a name. It's Star Trek's Discovery, and it's about the ship of the USS Discovery. There was a big panel at Con. It was the Star Trek 50th anniversary panel. Michael Dorn was there, Jerry Ryan was there, Brett Spiner was there, Shatner was there. I think Scott Bakula was there, the new showrunner was there. Did they say where this was set? Did you catch that? Because I wasn't able to get.
I feel like it's somewhere in or around the original series, and I base that on the ship design, the ship look, and if you look, the whole number is 109 something. You don't catch the last digit. And Enterprise obviously is 1701. So.
Yeah, and it's the moderator for the panel was Brian Fuller, who's the new showrunner. The only reason why I harp on it is because when Netflix was announced that outside the U.S. and Canada it was going to carry the show, the article referred to it as a reboot. We posted it on our Facebook page, and I was like, I wonder if that was a mistake on the part of the ad or the headline calling it a reboot, or
I feel like that's a mistake.
Right.
Because at least according to what I've read, this is set in the prime Star Trek universe.
Okay.
So the same universe as all the other shows and movies, with the exception of the new 3.
Right.
And interestingly enough, not necessarily related to how it is going to be or what the story entails.
Right.
Is it's going to be the pilot's going to be released online or on CBS, and then basically it's going to go to only being on CBS All Access. It's going to be like a digital only.
Right.
So are you paying separate for that then? You have to pay like with the Amazon thing where you pay for the show?
Probably.
Okay. That could be interesting, and it really points to this idea that shows are moving on more and more into the digital format, allowing people to watch whenever they feel like it.
Also they've actually said it's going to be much less. It's not going to be an episodic kind of show. So in terms of like the Daredevil and Jessica Jones and a lot of the Netflix kinds of stuff, where they describe it as chapters out of a novel, basically.
Yeah, it's like story arcs over the course of a couple episodes, which I really like. That's one of the things that got me to stop watching TV, was just the episodic nature of television. I was like, I'm just so bored with it. I don't like everything being wrapped up in a neat little bundle at the end of the hour-long or half-hour episode. I will say this, though. I just think in that teaser, yeah, I mean, the graphics, it's for a television show, so the CGI isn't going to be that great, but I just think the ship looks dopey. I just really don't like the design of the ship at all.
See, to me, it doesn't really bother me. I was mentioned earlier, at least it's loosely based on the Ralph McQuarrie designs from Star Trek Phase 2 back in the 70s. Basically, they were going to do a second Star Trek series, and after a while, they decided to not do a second series, and that actually is what led to Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So these were kind of concept art designs for what the Enterprise would look like after a refit. Obviously, we ended up with a very different looking Enterprise than what McQuarrie did. But you know, for first concept, they wanted to do something different. So, yeah, that's where they're getting this from. So,
what did you think, Tracy?
Of this most recent teaser trailer?
Of the ship itself.
Oh, of the ship itself. Well, I mean, the back end of it looked a little large. I don't know.
Baby got back.
Baby does got back. Okay. But kind of the idea behind currently. So first of all, you need to know I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I've watched a few of the movies. I've watched a few episodes here.
Mostly because I forced you to.
That's essentially it. Yeah.
Tracy, you don't need to be a scholar in this. You looked at the ship. Did it look cool to you or not?
Well, no, it didn't look cool. But I'm giving you my understanding of the original is that the disc would separate from the bottom part, and then they could use the bottom part to go down to the planet and look around, that kind of thing. And that just doesn't make sense here because the two pieces are almost the same size.
That's no. And to be perfectly honest, that's so the entire creation of the transporter was so they didn't have to do that because it cost too much fucking money
to separate the two pieces.
To model
for the ship for the show. It would cost the show too much money to do all that every week, to have them like land part of the ship and come back. So that's why they invented the transporter.
Oh, well, there you go. Did not know that at all.
Nope.
Okay. Well, either way, I don't think that I hated it as much as Dude did. I don't think it looked all that cool.
Good. It just looked cool. That's all. It just don't look good.
Well, I mean, also, few people hate things quite the way that Dude hates things.
I never said I hated it. I was accused of saying that about Ghostbusters. I didn't hate Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
man,
people, you heard it first. Dude hates the ship.
Man, you should have seen the Facebook fight I got into over Ghostbusters. It was pretty.
Dear Lord.
It was pretty.
Is it still up there?
I mean, it wasn't on our page. It was on like a friend's page. And he just lost his bananas, and it went on for like 2 hours. And me being the frickin' transgressive
internet troll that you are,
that I am, I was sitting by my phone just with glee every time it would alert. I'm like, oh, what did he say now? And I'm just shitting on him. He invoked the tomato meter, and I was like, did you just invoke the tomato meter in an argument about a movie? There's got to be a Godwin's Law rule about when you evoke the tomato meter, you immediately lose this discussion.
Nice.
It's gotta be. So, all right.
So
while my browser freaks out completely, let's transition into the movie.
So
while my browser freaks out completely, let's transition into the movie.
Right. So we said we're going to talk Star Trek and then Star Trek, and Star Trek. The second thing we're talking is Star Trek Beyond, which is obviously the new release of the last of the 3 reboot films.
I think that changed.
Did it really?
Didn't I was trying to pull it up, but I can't. I believe that they scheduled a 4th one within the last couple days with the same cast.
Well, obviously -1, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, crap. I meant to look that up before we started recording. But if I remember right, yeah, they want a 4th one, and this time Kirk's dad comes back.
Yep, it's a go on Deadline.com, Variety, Cinema Blend, are all...
Cinema Blend.
Cinnamon Blend? See, no, that's a whole different thing.
Tracy's thinking about food again. Focus. Focus, woman.
I always am. Yeah, it says that 4th Star Trek movie, a go at Paramount. Yeah. So, yep, there it is. Chris Pine will be back.
Huh.
Oh, joy. Oh, joy.
You sound so thrilled. So, Star Trek Beyond, the 3rd of the J.J. Abrams reboot. What are they calling this universe now? The Calvin universe? The Kelvin universe?
I don't know.
I'm not even sure, but it wasn't. J.J. Abrams didn't direct this one.
He didn't direct this one. That was Jason Lin, but he's the executive producer. He's boss man of this project.
He also directed the first 2.
Yeah, so this is...
Did you guys hear that his wife saw his first Star Trek movie and literally told him to knock it off with the lens flares? I'll throw that in the show notes if I can find that. But yeah, his wife actually called him out
somewhere,
on it.
Somewhere there is actually J.J. Abrams apologizing for too much lens flare. I felt so vindicated about that because, man, as I pissed about the lens flare in that movie.
It was insane.
There's a YouTube video out there somewhere, and it was like, what if J.J. Abrams directed this? And it's like different movies of like Titanic with a ton of lens flare or Terminator 2 with a ton of lens flare. It's the exact same films, they just add a bunch of freaking lens flare.
Nice.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so in this installment of the new Star Trek universe, the Enterprise is sent out to investigate what appears to be a downed ship. A sole survivor appears, tells them that her ship was attacked. They go out to investigate it, and you saw from the trailer, the Enterprise gets hosed, and the entire movie is them basically trying to escape from the planet that the remnants of the Enterprise crashed on while fighting the villain Krall, played by Idris Elba. What did you guys think of this? I got to see it this morning at a Sunday matinee. My theater was almost 50-60% full. I was kind of surprised, and they kind of dug it. What did you think?
Yeah, in general, I think overall I liked it. We'll get into the deeper reasons, the deeper stuff here in a minute, but I think there were some directorial shit show choices. There were some scenes in there that could have been really a lot better that were just fucking awful. And I think there were some other lesser problems with the film, but overall I thought it was pretty enjoyable. It was certainly better than I anticipated it being.
I kind of agree with that. I would say that it's a solid installment into this reboot series. Is it a stellar film? Am I, as a non-Star Trek fan, going to buy it? No, I'm not. But I think that if you like Star Trek and you're the type of person that wants, I think that you could feel perfectly confident in your decision to go purchase this movie when it comes out on Blu-ray. So, we did go to the matinee on Friday, so we didn't really have a very full theater, although we did have a very responsive theater. So there were in fact, it was kind of annoying. There were a lot of people talking to the screen, nodding along, talking, you could gasping, really responding and interacting with the movie. I think our group was kind of unsure of whether we were actually watching. We were in a theater with a good projector because it was a little dark, and I think it was too dark for it to be a movie thing. I think that we may have even been watching on a 3D theater in which they had just played a 2D movie, so they shut off one of the projectors, so we had less light.
Huh.
So I can't say that my issues with the darkness of the film or even some of the sound or because of the movie itself. I'm thinking we were in a bad theater. So
yeah, you might have been in a bad theater because I didn't think visually the film had many problems in it. There were a couple parts you're like, wow, this looks really stupid early on, where Kirk is talking to those like little aliens, or those.
Oh, I thought that was awesome. That was my favorite scene when
they looked really bad.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, but yeah, the CGI on those were a little wonky.
Really wonky. But other than that, I thought the film looked pretty crisp and clean, as most of these Star Trek films have been good. So the special effects were pretty good. As far as the plot goes, I was just kind of like underwhelmed by the whole thing. I wouldn't say it was a bad film. I think it's because I went in with really low expectations.
Yeah,
I thought the trailers were really terrible.
You were expecting
I was expecting
shit show.
An utter mess. It really wasn't. There are some parts of the plot or just elements of the plot that just have big holes in them that maybe if I go back, I'll understand better. But when you look back at it, you're like, I wonder why this is the case and that's the case. But overall, it was just kind of a okay action film that happened to have the Star Trek name in it. There really wasn't anything special here. Really, you can't really spoil the film because it's your typical good guys win, bad guys lose summer action movie. It really wasn't. That was my problem, I guess, is the main point is it's just okay. There's really nothing special here. There's no great set piece. I didn't find it particularly funny. The audience did. I don't think I even cracked a smile once watching this. And the cast was fine. They were pretty serviceable. Really not much I can add to this. It was just an okay movie. So, my main issues come from just the weirdness of the villains in the movie. That they were just kind of strange, never got explained, and then it was kind of over.
Yeah, so my two complaints were, one, especially towards the beginning, like the destruction of the Enterprise, there was a lot of really bad shaky cam.
Yeah,
like Muhammad Ali was holding the goddamn camera. Muhammad Ali, Michael J. Fox is shooting second.
Well, I don't think Muhammad Ali could hold the camera. It would be really still because he's dead.
Didn't he recently pass?
That'd be the best steady cam ever. At this point.
Yeah, I mean, so I think there were a number of shots in that could have, I think, looked better. And the other thing, kind of like what you alluded to, I think the villains needed some more explanation. I actually could have used a little bit more of a monologue from Idris Elba about what he wants and
what his motivations were at all.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Usually, I absolutely hate it when the villain explains to the hero what he's doing. And after walking out of this film, like, well, we kind of needed that scene because I had no idea what the hell.
Yeah.
The best thing I could ascertain was he was a soldier who went crazy and just wants now to blow shit up because he's a soldier. And I thought, that's not fair to soldiers.
No, so at least what I gathered, so he was a soldier. He was a Mako, which if you watch Star Trek Enterprise, was kind of their group of Marines, effectively, that were just basically disbanded when the Federation was actually formed. And so this guy was then given command of a starship. The starship crashed. And basically he feels betrayed by the Federation because the Federation never came looking for him.
That I did catch, yeah.
But so there's my big problem there. They don't go back and get him. But then they show in the movie, they show multiple times the same reel of this green footage of them apparently being rescued or not. That's where I got kind of confused.
No, that's not. You're talking on the Franklin. That's not a rescue. That's just like a home movie. They filmed while on their mission.
Oh, okay, because that was not made clear. It was like, there they are. Here comes the shuttles, and the guy on the audio was like, "Well, it's about time." And I thought that was them being rescued. It's about time we got rescued. Okay, see, that wasn't clear.
Yeah, no, and I agree that that's not very clear. Yeah, it's one of those things. Unfortunately, I think an actor as strong as Idris Elba was a little wasted in this role because he just kind of was there. The character, kind of was the speech was very forced, very mumbled. So like, there wasn't a whole lot for him to do with the character.
Yeah, and then we're to assume that, okay, so this is a crashed ship. They find technology that turns them into
something else,
kind of thin head monsters with sharp teeth.
Something else.
Yeah,
and then
they can turn back
if they absorb humans. And it was just strange. I couldn't figure it out. And then he's like, "Oh, here's this weapon that the Ancient Ones use." Like, who are the Ancient Ones, and how did you know that? And what? And then you've got a crew from a ship that, could only maybe be a few hundred, but he's got this, what appear to be millions of ships at his disposal. They can't all have people in them, can they?
Yeah,
there's a lot that just was weird.
Yeah. No, that.
Although, yeah.
And all these things are indestructible. Like they can ram stuff, and like they just don't break. But if you shoot, it was strange. There's a lot of just stuff you had to take really on face value. If you thought about it, was like, this is kind of dopey.
Yeah.
And then the way they destroy them towards the very end is they use radio waves and the Beastie Boys. There's just stuff that was bizarrely out of place that why are the Beastie Boys and NWA and a motorcycle in this? It just seems silly. And you probably noticed it, as they're destroying these B ships, or the Bs they call them in the movie, they literally turn into a wave that the Franklin surfs.
Yes.
Did you know? And I was just, this is getting... And again, the director is from the Fast and Furious franchise, so it's not much of a surprise. It just felt terribly out of place.
Yeah.
It just felt goofy.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I did really like about this film is it, I don't know, brought back, but it significantly reinforced the Kirk, Spock, McCoy relationship. Because for the first two films, and this is something that Abrams consciously did, is it was Kirk and Spock, and he replaced McCoy to a large extent with Uhura. And I always felt like that. Certainly, I have no problem with them, more incorporating Uhura, as a female lead. But I felt that particular that triangular relationship there was really one of the linchpins that held the original series and the original films together. And it was nice.
The friendship, not the love triangle, is what you mean.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that friendship, that that really a kind of a brotherly, especially like the banter between Kirk and Spock, or not between McCoy and Spock.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's always been one of my favorites, and I think of the new cast, I think Karl Urban does the best at channeling the original character. This is
just in general, he really impressed me with his acting in this one.
Well, I was gonna say, this is the first one I've really actually enjoyed Zachary Quinto as Spock, and I really disliked him in the first two, and I liked him much more in this one. And again, I mean, Karl Urban was still just spot on DeForest Kelley bones.
See, I have a general problem with that, is that Karl Urban now is basically anchored to imitating DeForest Kelley, which I don't think is a good for any actor or any franchise to do. And just on a personal level, I didn't find their banter amusing or entertaining at all. I just found it annoying. Overall, I didn't enjoy any of that. Like, even the Simon Pegg and that little alien friend that he has.
I've never cared for the little alien.
I didn't like any of that.
Honestly,
I always forget he exists.
Simon,
every movie I watch it and I go, oh, right, that guy.
Simon Pegg is one of my least favorite ones in this one, actually, and I really enjoy Simon Pegg, but I don't think he does Scotty particularly well.
He wrote this one. He co-wrote this one.
He did, I know.
Yeah.
Which is probably why Scotty has a bigger role in this one.
Right.
I actually really liked the character Jayla, the white and black.
Didn't care for her at all.
Yeah, I kind of figured you guys weren't going to like her all that much, but I thought she was really cool looking, and I liked her attitude, and she often stole scenes for me.
I think she was interesting looking, but at the same, she didn't really stand out to me. I didn't dislike her, but I was kind of just unimpressed.
Apparently she learned Kung Fu while being isolated on the Franklin for her entire life. So somewhere along the line, she taught herself Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Good for her.
I mean, everybody's got to have a hobby.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, again, it was just, to me, I was just underwhelmed by it. For me, a Star Trek film should have some kind of moral, ethical conundrum based on some sort of science fiction premise. And the Abrams films are basically action movies.
Yeah.
And then
That's
we
a
talked
fair
about it last
assessment.
week. Yeah, and then we talked about with Ghostbusters how, they just made it an action movie. Let's just all make them action movies and everyone will love them. And the truth is, my opinion on this doesn't matter. It made $56 million this weekend. So it did really, really well. So obviously, Abrams and Paramount and company know what the hell they're doing, because if we were trying to put together a Star Trek film, no one's going to freaking see it. And good for them. This was a $150 million film to make.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I would say solid entry into the franchise and not much else.
It certainly wasn't a disappointment, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking at Box Office Mojo right now, trying to figure out where Ghostbusters slipped, because that was kind of something we were wondering about.
I saw a headline that said something like 63% drop.
That's not good. I'm looking at it right now. I see.
Also, Ice Age tanked to no one's surprise.
Yeah, Ice Age 5 of all things. Star Trek debuts up at 1. Let's see if we can do weekend chart. Here it is, full weekend chart. Let's just look at it real quick. Star Trek Beyond looks like its estimated weekend gross is $59.6 million. My mistake, in almost 4,000 theaters. It's a $185 million budget film.
Oh.
Jeez. Okay, and then number 2 is Secret Life of Pets. That grossed almost $30 million, $29.3 million. Ghostbusters now only has $21 million in its second weekend. It's a 53.1% drop on a $144 million budget we talked about. Lights Out, the horror film with a budget of $5 million, opens with $21.6 million. Right now, it's like, if you want to make money,
someone just shit their pants.
Yeah, right now, if you want to make money, horror and comedies. That's really where it is.
Well, in part because even if you have a $20 million opening, if you only spent $5 or $10 million making the movie, guess what?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the problem. Yeah, absolutely. That was the problem with Tarzan. Tarzan's probably going to get saved, at least in the realm of profitability, by the foreign markets. But it made $115 million, but it's a $180 million film to make.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Trek and Tarzan were roughly the same to make. So, look, obviously, they know what the people want right now. And it's Star Trek that is just another big action franchise. And that's what we did this time. I would like to have just been in space more. I thought that would have been kind of cool.
I will say, like, the destruction of the Enterprise, that was fucking brutal.
It was well shot scene.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Oh, I was going to say, it reminded me a little bit, not like at all visually, but the concept of, like, in Wrath of Khan, when Khan shoots up the Enterprise, he knew exactly where to hit us.
Right.
He knew exactly how to fuck the Enterprise.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Chop the nacelles off, break its neck, all that kind of stuff. Or cut its throat, I think he says at one point.
He says cut its throat, but like the first thing he does is take out the deflector array, and then goes for the nacelles.
Right. Yeah. It was a nice scene, but it's like, it's Star Trek. I want to be in space.
Right.
I want to be in stars. I don't want to be on a planet and then a space. Although I'll say this: that space station, the Yorktown space station.
Ooh, that was cool.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing. That's the cool thing about this series right now is you can, with the technology, you can really make the Star Trek universe come alive.
Yeah.
Where they were very much limited with what they could do. Although I did find it funny is they've got like holograms and iPads, and then when Kirk asks Uhura to patch him through, she literally flips a switch.
Yeah, I saw that. Although she
pulls the little red covers down and flicks them back, and I'm like, really? Okay.
Although, admittedly, like and you and I work on ships for a living, like
right.
it literally is just picking up a mic and pushing a button. Like it's not like we're making this even more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was like, I get it, I kind of get it, but yeah, I mean, it was just okay. I think I'm just gonna forget about this. I mean, again, I saw it as a matinee. The theater was pretty full, so
yeah.
I think Paramount has a winner this time. It won't be a Star Wars style winner, but it's a winner.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I think that's all you can really say about this one. I mean, Sulu's gay. That was the big reveal that everyone knew going into this.
At least they did it tastefully.
That was the part that disappointed me. I wanted to see full male-on-male action. I just wanted to see like a scene where they're on the shuttle and they just look to their left and there's Sulu, and apparently he's into older dudes just going at it. That would have been great. Because I was reading the article, like Decay didn't really like the fact that they made Sulu gay, and then Simon Pegg's like, no, we're gonna make him gay, and then they make Sulu gay, and then gay activists are like, you didn't go far enough, and I'm inclined to agree with them. I just want to just see some meat slapping in this movie.
Yeah, I think you're by yourself. You're by yourself with that one. Okay.
That's because I'm just more progressive than most people.
Yeah, well, more progressive. We'll go with that.
It's another P word, but I'm sticking with progressive.
All right, so Tracy, you want to take this one?
Sure. So this week I have been on vacation, and so part of it was moving, but part of it was also doing a lot of geeky stuff. So I watched the pilot for a new show on Netflix called The Fall, that has Gillian Anderson is the lead in it, with a fairly terrible British accent, but she's still hot as always. And the thing that I like about this, and the reason that it kind of stuck in my head, is similar to what Dude was referring to earlier, where it's not very episodic. And she's an investigator. She's investigating a serial killer. And they're doing that kind of typical thing where you get to see the murder happening. You know, it's flashing back and forth to the past where the murderer is stalking the victim and so forth, and he's meeting her for the first time and that kind of thing. And then you're also jumping into the present or the future, whichever, where they're investigating. You know, they've got the photos of the same girl, so you know what's going on. But by the end of the first episode, he still hasn't actually done it. So it's actually spanning each storyline that she investigates spans a couple of episodes. So you kind of have a natural breaking point if you need to go do something else, or you can just, binge right into the next episode, which I thought was kind of a cool concept.
When she said what Dude was referring to earlier, I was like, she talking about Asian butt sex? Oh, no, episodic storytelling. Got it.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Every time. So, the other thing, I watched all 7 current episodes of Preacher. So those were really good. I actually really, really enjoyed that. It's very harsh. So AMC has, The Walking Dead is still around, but it's aging, and they need a new flagship show. So
Dead Bodies are wanting to do that.
Yeah. Actually, yes. So I think that this is probably going to be their new flagship show, and I think it's worthy. I think they did a great job. It's pretty hardcore for me. Obviously it's television, so a lot of stuff happens just off screen, but it's still pretty brutal. I wouldn't rewatch these episodes. Dude, you'd probably absolutely love this show. And then what else?
Watching with an erection,
Probably. Ooh, that's a image I didn't want in my brain. Thanks, Andrew. And then the other thing I watched for the very first time this week was Starship Troopers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the original.
Ooh.
That is an awesome film.
Would you like to know more?
Explosions, bugs, titties, and just guts everywhere.
Yeah.
Would you like to know more?
Oh, yes. That was so annoying.
That was so funny.
Oh, I love that part. That was so cool.
Also, Doogie Howser is a Nazi. Because remember, this is before How I Met Your Mother, so it's Neil Patrick Harris is basically dressed as an SS officer.
Yeah, this time it's Doogie
Howser. He really was. I was like, what? That was.
It's funny because Paul Vanderhoeven only got a third of the way, or maybe not even a third of the way through the book, and then he just was mad at the book's fascism, and just did his own thing.
Also, I feel like they had their budget massively slashed too.
Yeah.
It felt like it didn't have much of a budget, but it wasn't a terrible film. It was fun.
Oh no, it is. No, it is terrible, but that doesn't mean it can't be also awesome.
I love that film. That was one of the first R-rated movies my dad took me to. I still still has a special place in my heart. I love that film.
Oh yeah,
I loved pointing out, like, so Kurt and I were watching it together, and I kept pointing out all the cheap stuff in the I was like, what is that? Is that what I think it is? Like the plastic walls on the compound and stuff like that. Like, what? It was great.
So
why do I need to learn how to throw a knife if we gotta push a button to launch a nuke? He like throws the knife at the guy. He's like, you cannot push the button if the hand is disabled. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking showers together. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Michael Ironsides is in it, and he's like, Rico, we're gonna need you in 5 minutes. He's like, he sees the girl underneath the bed, underneath the cover, like, make it 10.
20 minutes.
Make it 20. I thought that was awesome. Dizzy, right? That was her name, Dizzy?
Yep.
Diz?
Dizzy.
Yeah. I also thought she was hotter than the pilot girl.
Christina Richards? Oh, no, Denise Richards.
Denise Richards, yeah.
Yeah, it was Denise Richards.
Oh, they're both hot. Denise Richards was at that point in her career where she wasn't ready to quite get naked. I think this was pre-Wild Thing.
Oh,
yes,
is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Because then she does the scene in Wild Things.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, Starship Troopers. Hang on, Tracy, did you recognize the armor?
Yes, I did. I was actually looking for it because I already knew. It was from the train job episode of Firefly. Well, no, reverse that actually. I think Firefly got it from Starship
Firefly
Troopers.
got it from Starship Troopers. It was like sitting in Fox, prop storage or something. Yeah.
Yeah, why the hell not? I mean, you've read Starship Troopers multiple times, Andrew. Is it really as fascist as Verhoeven thought it was?
No, I mean, it's a little out there. And
I mean, I know Heinlein's out there. I mean, I have Moon as a Harsh Mistress, but I don't...
Oh, that's a good book, too.
I think Verhoeven was just being a freaking European weirdo about it.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. I think you're right.
So, yeah. So, Andrew, what have you been into?
I'm still in sweat showers.
Let's see. So, while I was on vacation, I managed to clear my entire Kindle, and I have now completely reloaded it.
With comics?
Well, yeah, obviously. But, like, I basically went from the point where I had to, in order to add a new comic, I had to delete a comic. And I'm now at that point again.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I think I loaded like 170 comics onto it.
Jeez.
What was this? Like, some of it, like, I loaded the entirety of East of West. I loaded all of Black Science.
Okay.
There's
that's fair.
There's a couple of runs that I've missed out on. So, like, I've got 8 issues of Guardians of the Galaxy, 8 or 9 issues of one of the X-Men titles, stuff like that. So I'm trying to catch up on stuff that wouldn't fit when I went on vacation.
Are you fully caught up on Peter Panzerfaust?
No.
Okay.
No, I actually have the hardcover of it. So I'm working through that, and then I'll read. Okay. And then whenever I get through that, I'll get the rest of the issues digitally. But currently, I am not there yet.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think of what else I've been doing. I mean, mostly it's just been trying to get the house back in order.
Yeah.
We got back from vacation and from the wedding and all that, and so it's wedding gifts. At one point we were unpacking new dishes and stuff, and I had a pile of boxes and cardboard and packing material that was up to my hip.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a lot of stuff. Like, I'm going to fill my garbage can about 4 times over in the next, 2 weeks. It's going to take us forever just to throw all this stuff out. Dude, what about you?
Like I said, this week was seeing those shows downtown in the Gas Lamp, the Jeffrey Off-Broadway theater shows. Those were pretty cool. Other than that, we went to Villainous Lair, our local comic shop. They were doing a sale, and I picked up the first volume of The Max. This is the Maxed Out Volume 1 from IDW, and I've been curious about what this series has been about for a while, and I never had the time to really sit down and grab it. So they have the first... Volume 1 collects the first 12 issues of the series, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I've got some discount points. Let me drop $25 on this and see what it's like. So I read through the first couple pages before we started recording. it's weird. It's got bizarre characters. There's a guy in a purple. I don't know if it's a purple suit or he is purple. And Savage Dragon makes an appearance, and then there's a shark dude.
Savage Dragon is a comic I always forget exists.
Right. Yeah, me too. So I'm interested in just seeing where the hell this goes. It looks thoroughly bizarre, which is perfectly fine with me. And I really need to finish part 1 of 1984 and start moving into part 2 so I can finish up on that project I've been doing. So that's really about it. Pretty low key. Oh, what else did I see today? After I saw Star Trek, I saw The Infiltrator, which is a Bryan Cranston movie where he plays a customs agent going undercover. It's him and John Leguizamo and a couple other actors you might be familiar with. Oh, and yeah, Infiltrator, not Central Intelligence. What are you doing? Who else is it? Who's one guy? I couldn't remember his name.
That's the one where they're going after Pablo Escobar, right?
They're not really.
I mean, kind of, but
kind of. They're not going after Pablo Escobar per se. They're going after. Oh, it's Benjamin Bratt. That's who it was. It's like Pablo Escobar's lieutenants.
It's like the Medellin cartel.
Yeah, they're a part of it, but it's like his American operation they're going after.
Okay.
And not to mention the banks that helped launder the money. Like, apparently, like, the 7th largest bank in the world was helping launder money at the time. This bank called, like, BCC or something. Or BCCI or something. It was one of his top lieutenants, Escobar's top lieutenants in America. It was pretty good. It was set in the 80s. It was 1985, so it was about 31 years ago. And it was a pretty solid thriller. Thriller, I don't know. Drama, thriller, historical drama. It was good. I thought it was pretty good. What are they? The consensus: infiltrators, compelling fact-based story, tremendously talented cast are often just enough to balance out its derivative narrative and occasional clunky execution. That sounds about right. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Cool.
So I think that'll just about do it for us. Once again, folks, if you like what we do, make sure you head over to thereforegeek.com, check out our blog posts and our podcasts. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. And you can find this podcast and other podcasts like it on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Make sure you follow us and subscribe.
Did you tell them that they can argue with us on Facebook? You can do that.
Yes. You
can also leave argumentative comments on SoundCloud at the exact clip that you are interested in.
The exact moment we pissed you off. Make sure you point it out.
Right, so we've already told you guys that dude is basically an internet troll sitting by his phone.
Yeah, right.
So by all means,
yeah, get on that.
He will fight you.
I have popcorn sitting. I have a popcorn in my pantry, just waiting for these moments.
For a moment, I thought you were going to see a popcorn in your pants, and I was just like, "What?"
Not the same. Not the same idea at all. Nope.
Butter popcorn makes for a weird experience.
Do you actually have experience with that? Like, do you know? You're just giving me a knowing smile. I'll take that as a yes. Okay. All right. This conversation just took a really weird left turn.
Or did it?
Took the turn it was supposed to. I got nothing after that. It's your turn.
Yeah,
I'm thinking you should have said that in a Zap Brannigan voice is what I was thinking.
Leela, I've got waves and waves of men at your disposal, ready to die. Right, men? You suck!
God, I love that show.
That is hilarious.
As a complete side note that's derailing the end of the podcast, I'm naming my next cat Morbo.
Yes. Awesome.
So that's been decided. I should have named Kaylee Morbo. But
that would have been more fitting.
Yep. Before I knew her personality, so.
I'm gonna name my next cat Kip, just because my cats always seem to have that same depressed look on their face when I own them.
Nice.
Like I pick them up and like, I just.
Amy.
Once again, I'm Andrew.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Dude.
And you've been listening to Therefore I Geek.
Erotic.